I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
All right, and there it is. Kenedy is next up on the discussion lineup. George, full disclosure, our podcast has been hot and cold on him, but to be fair, he's kind of been hot and cold on us as well. So Kenedy has played the most minutes under Frank in preseason. The lack of Willian and the late arrival of Pulisic obviously helped him, so he got some chances, and he scored a beautiful goal. Maybe a little bit of a deflection today, but took it well. So again, is he able to keep himself plugged in? Once preseason ends, what are your thoughts on Kenedy?
I think it's always that thing with Kenedy is you look at his nationality and you think, right, he's Brazilian. There's got to be something about this guy which means that Chelsea have bought him in the first place, right? And they always post the same video on social media when it's like, oh, Kennedy's here. It's like that little flick he did against Norwich. You remember it?
Yeah.
So there was that. And then when you see that, it's like, okay, right, this guy knows what he's doing. But I think that putting him on the right-hand side and allowing him to cut in, I almost, in a video of mine recently, I very almost made a comparison to Iron Robin, which would have been a disastrous thing to say.
Boy.
But yeah, no, just don't get me started there. I won't even begin that one. But I think if we look at him on the right-hand side, I don't see him as a left back or a left wing back. I don't really see him on the left. I don't see him as a striker. So I think having him as an option on the right is actually not a bad squad player to have because you've always got that opportunity for a moment of brilliance.
And maybe our biggest challenge is going to be trying to carry him. And, because ultimately we're going to have to figure out squad composition. We're going to have to figure out, can we carry Kenedy along with some other players? We have, Pulisic now joins as a foreign player for the Champions League. So that's going to affect some of our squad construction. But I think the thing, Nick, that concerns me the most is that there are times where he just almost looks like the light switch goes on and off. And yes, I'm going to be great for this period of time. And then I hit a little bit of adversity in the match, and now I've turned my light switch off.
Yeah, there's not the, I think, energy required constantly to make it happen. And I'm not even saying that, he should be in N'Golo Kante, because no one could be in N'Golo Kante. In terms of just constantly chasing and making, people nervous and dispossessing. But, if you're going to play on that right wing, one of the things, George, we've talked about in a 4-2-3-1 is that the wingers have to track back and play defensively, unlike the 4-3-3 where you can kind of leave them further forward. So his ability, I'm not worried about his ability going forward. I think he has all the talent in the world to take people on and obviously shoot from the left. But I do worry about him in the other aspects of his game, which are, not getting super frustrated and kind of abandoning his defensive responsibilities. And if I was Frank and I was looking at that and I've seen it, not only in previous film, but I'm seeing it right now in real life, that would really worry me.
I think he's got one chance. And I think if he goes out on loan again now, he can wave goodbye to his Chelsea career. I think obviously we mentioned about the homegrown quota that we need going forward for the Premier League squad, the 25-man, and also the Champions League squad. I think if we're looking at, I've actually got a list in front of me right now because I've been trying to work it out myself as to who I want to be in my foreign players. And for me, there's one person who's got to go, and it's either Bakayoko or Kenedy. And if I had to throw a player in for a wild card punt, I would put Kenedy in there just because it's unpredictable. But like we saw today, when he brings it in on that left foot, he has a go from outside the box. He tried it a couple of times against Barcelona. And if a player's got that confidence, it only takes one of them to go in for him to keep trying to do that. And I think something we've missed at Chelsea is somebody who isn't afraid to shoot from outside the box. And if Kennedy's that guy, he's not exactly a bad player to go back on.
So, Mike, bringing it back to at Subsea, he is making way too big of an appearance in this podcast. But he
had so many good points this week.
He did, especially talking about Kenedy. He said there is definitely a player in Kenedy. When he's not up to it, he doesn't run. He has a poor first touch, and he makes bad decisions. When he is up to it, the same time when he caught Mourinho's eye, he can run an awful lot for an attacker, long and short distances. He has a powerful shot and can retain under pressure. He's versatile. I guess, Mike, which way do you lean on Kenedy? Do you think we're going to see more of the good Kenedy or more of the bad Kenedy if he stays?
I would love to see the good Kenedy, but to me, it's really, he reminds me of, growing up guys that play. It's a maturity level issue to me. He wants to show up and play in games. He doesn't want to put in the hard work and the practice. And I think that when we're looking at a roster with a Conte, with a Pulisic, with a Mount, and with some of these younger, hungry guys, I don't know if he's going to have room because, again, I also feel like some of the newer life that we're bringing into the squad, they're not afraid to shoot either. So unless you're willing to do the work, I don't think putting in that occasional goal is going to be, to me, enough to differentiate him. And I think he's definitely on the outside looking in. I think Frank has given him the most minutes because I don't know if he's fully decided on, it's like a coin flip, right? So I don't expect this to be a breakout year for Kenedy.
Still 23. So again, I know he's been around Chelsea for a few years now. We got him when he was really young, and there's a little bit of maturity and growth in there. A couple seasons at Newcastle, and they kind of flip and flop on if he's having a good day or not. So we'll have to see. But definitely today, obviously, was one of the good days, so it was worth talking about him and bringing him up. Obviously.
Well, one thing to consider too. So if he did go out on loan, we would probably want to make sure that we signed to a contract extension because Chelsea's just not going to let him run out the end of his contract and send him on loan. And then I think the other thing is if you look at squad composition, there were points of the season last year. Pedro was injured and unavailable. Willian is recovering from a knee knock right now. Pulisic's first season in the Premier League could be a concern. So I think from a squad depth situation and just from Callum coming off of a major health concern, he's probably a candidate to stay more from a depth situation than anything else, even if he's not going to get used a ton. I would just want to have depth in that area because if we're going to use 3 attackers or 2 wingers in 40, 50 matches, you can bet that somebody's going to get injured and he might need to contribute some minutes.
Yeah, it looks like Kenedy and Willian are both in the last 12 months of their contract. So that's going to have to be something we pay attention to, see if you can get something out of it. So you're right on that.